Have you ever heard of the ghost? Not some spooky phantom, but a real person. A man who walked out of the most powerful, most secretive organization on Earth, with its darkest secrets, and then simply vanished. For 12 years, he was a myth, a boogeyman whispered about in the highest echelons of power. Today, we're telling his story. Our story begins with a man we'll call Alex. On paper, Alex was a mid-level analyst in a multinational consulting firm. A bit of a genius, sure, but quiet, unassuming. The kind of guy you'd forget was even in the room. But that was his cover. In reality, Alex was a senior director in what we'll call the Aegis, a clandestine syndicate that didn't just influence world events, it architected them. Aegis wasn't a government agency. It was something far more potent, a private network of the world's most powerful figures in finance, technology, and politics. They controlled data flows, manipulated markets, and decided who would rise and who would fall, all from the shadows. Their motto was simple: order from chaos, and Alex was one of its chief architects. For 15 years, Alex was the perfect soldier. He designed the very systems that made Aegis invincible. He created firewalls that no intelligence agency could crack, and predictive algorithms that could foresee market crashes with terrifying accuracy. He was trusted. He was indispensable. He had access to everything, the master key to a kingdom built on secrets. And then, one rainy Tuesday morning, Alex didn't show up for work. It wasn't just that he was gone. His entire digital existence had been wiped clean. His access codes were dead. His personnel file was corrupted. It was as if he'd never existed. Panic rippled through the ranks of Aegis. They ran a deep audit, and the horrifying truth emerged. Alex hadn't just left. He had taken the crown jewels with him. He had copied the entirety of Aegis's core data. A comprehensive list of its members, records of their covert operations, blackmail material on world leaders, blueprints for next generation, take everything. It was a doomsday scenario. If that data ever got out, it wouldn't just destroy Aegis. It would destabilize the entire global order. Aegis launched the largest manhunt in its history, mobilizing assets across the globe. They were the best in the world at finding people. But Alex was the one who had designed their methods. He knew their playbook because he had written it. He was a ghost in the machine he himself had built. Weeks turned into months. Months into years. There was no trace. It was as if the earth had swallowed him whole. Meanwhile, strange things started happening around the world. A South American dictator, long thought untouchable, was suddenly exposed by a leak of his offshore accounts, leading to a swift coup. A revolutionary new energy technology, suppressed for years by powerful corporations, suddenly had its blueprints anonymously posted online. A stock market flash crash was traced back to an algorithm no one could understand, one that seemed to know exactly which companies were propped up by illicit funds. These weren't random acts of chaos, they were surgical strikes. It was Alex. He hadn't just run away to hide. He was using the stolen data as a weapon, but he wasn't selling it to the highest bidder in one lump sum. That would be too simple, too crude. Alex was far more clever. He was playing a multi-dimensional chess game against the most powerful people on the planet. He started by selling small, compartmentalized pieces of the data to rival factions. He'd give a Russian oligarch just enough information to blackmail a European banker. He'd deprovide a Chinese tech giant with a sliver of data, revealing a competitor's secret R&D. He'd leak intel to a small, overlooked intelligence agency, allowing them to score a major win against a superpower. He never met anyone in person. All transactions were done through layers of encryption and dead drops in the digital world. He took payment in untraceable crypto, which he would then immediately run through a dizzying array of mixers and tumblers. He created chaos, pitting Aegis's enemies and even its own members against each other. He turned the world into his personal battlefield, and all the while, he remained completely invisible. The world's intelligence agencies named him Janus, after the two-faced Roman god, because he seemed to be looking in all directions at once. For Aegis, it was a nightmare. They couldn't plug the leaks because they never knew where Alex would strike next. Their members grew paranoid, suspecting each other. The trust that held the organization together began to fracture. The hunters had become the hunted, constantly looking over their shoulders, terrified that their own dark secrets would be the next to be exposed by the ghost they had created. Then, 12 years after he disappeared, something changed. A message appeared on a secure forum frequented by the world's most elite hackers. It was a single line of code, but it was signed with a cryptographic key that only a handful of people knew belonged to Alex. The message was an invitation, a puzzle. It pointed to a location, a defunct server farm in the middle of the Icelandic tundra, and a time, 72 hours from the message's posting. Was it a trap? A final gambit? Everyone who mattered was watching. Aegis, the CIA, MI6, the Mossad, they all converged on this remote, frozen wasteland. They didn't go in with guns blazing. This was a game of intellect, not brute force. They sent their best cyber forensics teams, their most brilliant analysts. They breached the server farm's outdated security and found one active terminal. On the screen was a simple prompt, asking for a password. For 2 days, the world's greatest minds threw everything they had at it. Brute force attacks, quantum algorithms, psychological profiling of Alex. Nothing worked. The clock was ticking down. With just minutes to spare, a young analyst from a minor European agency had a crazy idea. She'd been studying the pattern of Alex's leaks for years. They weren't just random acts of malice. They formed a pattern, a kind of story. Each leak corrected a specific injustice that Aegis had perpetrated. The dictator, the suppressed tech, the corrupt companies. Alex was balancing the scales. The Aegis motto was order from chaos. The analyst typed a new phrase into the terminal, chaos from order. Access granted. The screen lit up, not with incriminating data or blackmail, but with a live video feed. It showed a man, older now, with graying temples, sitting on a simple porch overlooking a calm, sun-drenched beach. He looked relaxed, happy even. It was Alex. He looked directly into the camera and began to speak. He explained that he never intended to destroy the world. He just wanted to dismantle the system of absolute power that Aegis had built. He knew he couldn't do it from the inside. So he stepped outside. He explained his grand strategy. The data he sold over the years was never the real prize. It was just bait. Each transaction was a breadcrumb. He wasn't just selling information. He was tracking how it was used, by whom, and through what channels. He was mapping the entire shadow network of global power. The leaks weren't just attacks, they were tracers. And then came the final reveal. The server in Iceland didn't contain the stolen Aegis data. That data, he explained with a calm smile, had been slowly trickling out for years. It was already out there, woven into the fabric of the internet, irreversible. No, this server contained something far more valuable. It held the complete map he had created over the last 12 years, a detailed schematic of how power really works in the modern world, tracking every illicit transaction, every secret deal, every corrupt alliance that had sprung up in the chaos he had engineered. His final move wasn't to leak this new map, it was to give it away. The password, chaos from order, was released publicly at the exact moment the server was accessed. Suddenly, every government, every corporation, every journalist, and every hacker on Earth had the same key. They all had access to the truth. Alex's last words on the video were simple. "You wanted order," he said, looking at the camera, but speaking to his old masters at Aegis. "You built it on secrets and control. But true, lasting order doesn't come from the top down. It grows from the bottom up, from transparency. The board is reset. Now, everyone gets to play." And with that, the video feed cut out. The signal was untraceable. Alex was gone again, this time for good. He didn't just expose the secret organization. He changed the rules of the game for everyone. He proved that one person, armed with information and a brilliant strategy, could hold the entire world accountable. He was a traitor, a thief, a ghost, but in the end, he might just have been the catalyst for a more honest world. The story of Alex, the man who vanished, is a modern legend about power, secrecy, and the ultimate price of truth. Thanks so much for watching. What do you think of Alex's actions? Was he a hero or a villain? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's greatest mysteries. See you next time.